Good morning, everyone, and Salam Taala. If you can find your seats, begin to go.
Not so God, so God's alone. I have this urge to say, lay it home. In all truth, the setting and each of you are home plate. It is a thrill beyond belief after what we have endured as a world, a nation, a community, and a congregation to be able to come here today and welcoming a brand new year, which we also desperately need. Before offering any gratitude, I think we all must pause to thank the weather gods. Never could we have imagined such a more majestic day. In this glorious setting, surrounded by family and friends, and ready to welcome a new year in this most historic setting. While we will try to maintain the customs and traditions that are most familiar to all of us, of course, there will be some aspects of the service which will be different by design. To begin, there are no individual honors. It would be far too difficult and unhealthy to welcome people to the Bema. So therefore, please listen carefully, as all of our honors will be communal, and you yourselves will have work to do. Second, for the health and safety of all, while you are seen, particularly if you decide to sing along with the cantor, being aware of your mask. Singing as joyous and wonderful as it is, so great concern to the health and well-being of all. And lastly, know that today we are to infuse a great deal of fun and joy. Judaism teaches that humor isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But please understand that while we will have some fun and do some out of the ordinary experiences, we in no way are diminishing the gravity of this challenging time. And please understand that we are in no way diminishing the seriousness of this ongoing pandemic. Laughter is an essential part of the healing process. So please make sure you laugh often, smile a great deal, and have fun. I know that you have all come equipped with your safety bags and English or your lots of reading, your prayer books. So I would ask that you please take them out now. Our service is going to begin. Turn to page 7. And we are going to continue now as we turn our prayer books into 99 for the God of who, and now I would ask all who are comfortable to do so to rise, please. Or should I say stretch? United in love, we shall walk unafraid. Blessed is the fall of love that gives us strength to live, and bless the Torah that makes of Israel one. The Shalom. Page 103. Once we were in bondage, and then we were free. In that first liberation, our people saw and felt the power of the Most High. They perceived that God's presence redeemed time and length from the hands of tyrants. We too have learned the power that makes for freedom. We sing the song that celebrates our deliverance from Egypt and all bondage. The rock of Israel, fulfilling the promise of redemption is God most high, the Holy One of Israel. Blessed is the eternal one of Israel. 104. As if we need any more punching messages from this past year, we come to that point in our service where we are once again reminded of the fragility of life, as all of us ask to be written in the book of life. But let us all remember that our book of life does not begin today. It began when we were born. Some of the chapters were written by other people. They were written by your parents, your siblings, and your teachers. Parts of the book were crafted out of experiences we had because of other people's decisions, where you lived, what schools you went to, what your homes were like. But the message of Rosh Hashanah, the Unatana Tokef, the anniversary of the creation of the world, is that every day you can be made new again. That much of your book is written every day by the choices you make. The book is not written and sealed. We get to edit, decide what parts we want to emphasize and remember, and maybe even which parts we want to leave behind. Shana Torah means a good year and a good change. Today, each and every one of us can change the rest of our lives. The Tana Tokef reminds us it is never too late. We so begin with the Unatana Tokef. proclaiming the sacred power of this day, it is awesome and full of dread. For on this day your dominion is exalted, your throne established in steadfast love. There in truth you reign, in truth you are judge and arbiter, counsel and witness. You write and you seal, you record and recount. You remember deeds long forgotten. You open the book of our days, and what is written there proclaims itself. For it bears the signature of every human being. Great shofar is sounded, still small voices heard. Angels gripped by fear and trembling declare in awe, this is the day of judgment. Even the hosts of heaven are judged, as all who dwell on earth stand arrayed before you. As the shepherd seeks out the flock and makes the sheep pass under the staff, so do you muster and number and consider every soul, setting the bonds of every creature's life and decreeing its destiny. On Rosh Hashanah, it is written, and on Yom Kippur is sealed. How many shall pass on, and how many shall come to thee? Who shall live, and who shall die? Who shall see right age, and who shall not? Who shall perish by fire, and who by water? Who by sword, and who by beast? Who by hunger, and who by thirst? Who by earthquake, and who by plague? Who by strangling, who by stoning? Who shall be secure, and who shall be driven? Who shall be tranquil, and who shall be troubled? Who shall be poor, and who shall be rich? Who shall be humble, and who exalted? Repentance, prayer, and charity temper judgments, season decree. We turn now to page 110 and rise together for the Kedusha. on page 113. Please feel free to join me. In love and favor, O God, you have chosen us from all the peoples, hallowing us with your smoke. Our sovereign, you have summoned us to your service, that through us your great and holy name may become known in all the earth. In your love, O God, you have given us this day of remembrance, to hear the sound of the shofar, to unite in worship, and to recall the Exodus from Egypt. Page 114. Our God and God of all ages, be mindful of your people Israel on this day of remembrance, and renew in us love and compassion, goodness, life, and peace. This day remember us for well-being. This day bless us with your nearness. This day help us to live. And we continue on page 115, if we say. Page 116. Together we give thanks to you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are ever in your keeping, for your wondrous providence and your continuous goodness, which you bestow upon us day by day. Truly your mercies never fail, and your loving kindness never cease. Therefore do we forever put our trust in you. Page 117, C. Sight, one just looks around at the lives and miracles in front of us. It might be interesting to know that more than 100 years ago, another pandemic ran through our nation and the world, and yet the shutdown happened after the High Holy Days. So therefore, in truth, there has never been a generation that has had to deal with change and be creative for these most holy days. And as I look around, I know I speak for all of us when I say I'm grateful and large the incredible team that allowed us to come together here today. It is my first time on a cancer as well, that we look out at our entire congregation, both in person and on Zoom, also by YouTube channel. We are sharing this holiday with close to 1,000 people, literally all over the world. And before, I may have adults sit side by side with their young children. It was such an incredible treat to see all of our children here. Because what we are doing is making history. Yes, because this is our 50th anniversary season, the Temple Heart Shalom. And when our congregation was founded in 1971, and they celebrated their first time Holy Days in the living room of our founding members, they never could have imagined that we would have literally morphed into a sacred team. But it's historical for another reason, because in truth, for all of you sitting, listening, or watching, you will tell your grandchildren about the time of the pandemic of 2020. Our holy days you spent sitting in a ballpark. How miraculous, how fortunate and how blessed we are. No one truly knows what each of us as individuals have endured during these 780. But what we can do as individuals is pause now for a few moments of our own thoughts. Have the hours all that we endure, all that we overcome, all is relativity. I mentioned, it took a team effort today, and we are all most grateful to the manager of that team, our president, John Fisher, who has some words of profound gratitude to share with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council family, Brian Ricky, and the entire Somerset Patriots Baseball organization. Shot by. Well, you gotta yell it out. There we go. Can we get one real Toronto Bob or else I'll make it do the wave. So shout out to Bob. There we go. So when writing this, I originally planned to recreate Hanukkah stuff because I can do great with stuff. But I'll spare you, and for you millennials, I see some of you out there, your Gen Z today, who are staring lightly at me, searching TikTok or MySpace and look for who's on first. But now it's all after the holidays are Thank you, Reese. I'm sure my early day method. Aaron Allen, our consummate surrounding utility player. Josh Greenbaum, our five-tool prospect. Jordan Miller, Stephanie Cannon, Angel Waco, and Alex Sermons, our all-star starters. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of these things. Bruce Snowman, our consummate stopper. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the entire 40-player Devil Marshall roster of clergy, professional staff, and lady volunteers that made this miracle happen. This is amazing. I need to read this. I'm just going to finish this. I'm assuming Mayor said, you can observe a lot by watching. And so the highlight days are our World Series. It's amazing to soak everything in for this day. I'll be using my camera for photos and videos. I didn't tell right but I'll throw it away for a second. When I did my first 500 speech 2 years ago, I declared that we would all have a year's thanks for our show. Thanking you, all of you. Thanking our staff, and thanking our amazing clergy. Most importantly, I want to begin the implementation of change to let us all know how thankful we are and should be for our collective community. As I prepared to speak, I confess to having some tears in my eyes. I did not want to be writing this speech for this location under these circumstances. But now, having done so, my heart is full because I could. It is filled with joy. Thus, with all that's going on in the world, near and far, it seems only appropriate that I dedicate this year as a year as THS celebrates the beginning of our 50th anniversary, as we celebrate the amazing career of our panther, a beautiful voice, but also, more importantly, a beautiful person. And as we celebrate the amazing fortune of being here together, let us wholeheartedly and uncynically embrace joy. Why do I feel joy? As we move forward, we know the changes we have made allow us to think and act from a position of strength, which is unique for any Jewish organization and any religious organization generally. Because over the past 3 months alone, we have built rain gardens on our grounds to beautify our land. We have secured grant money to shore up our financial position in these troubling times. And we started the process of answering not just who we are as a community, but who we can be years from now. That is incredibly exciting and meaningful. It is simply joyful. And of course, Faced with the challenge that many institutions could not overcome, we supporters of Temple Marshall community found a way to make this high holiday season better, more special, and different from any Jewish celebration anywhere else in the world. Thank you. So as we join together today, in person and remotely, with 1,000 participants involved in this service, I ask you to please feel the joy in your heart that I feel in mine. Finally, I'd be remiss if I did not also say that I feel joy even in a baseball field during the high holidays. And Bar Gibor, I kind of hope we don't. Because there's some that thank you. As a long-time captain, my baseball and then softball cleats a few years ago. And while my career is in the dustbin, and frankly always was, Jews in baseball continue. In fact, Jews in baseball have a unique history. As an immigrant group, Jewish kids became American on the baseball diamond. My father, born in a refugee camp after the Holocaust, is a New York Mets fan because he was first a New York baseball Giants fan. I too am a Mets fan. And now why my son Zachary, for those who want, sitting right there, decided to become a Yankees fan, only God knows. Or maybe Aaron Judge, I don't know. And as a quick aside, this is more of a personal note. Maya laughing hysterically. I'm embarrassing Zach this year instead of you. You're welcome. So Jews in baseball, of course, do not just mean Sandy Koufax either. Hank Greenberg, too, chose not to play in Yom Kippur in 1934. Baseball has been home to Jews going back to the 19th century, and it is still today. And thus, the final reason for my joy today is what I get to do next. I have the incredible fortune of presenting this congregation's thanks to the Califer family. When we as a community did not have a safe home for our high holidays, the Califer family stepped up in ways that still seem unimaginable. We could not invite them into our communal home, so they invited us into theirs. In the Parshat Vayekel Bekudei, Moses seeks generosity from the community to build the tabernacle. The community overwhelms Moses with gifts to build that tabernacle and so much more. Today, the Califers have given us an incredibly special and truly holy tabernacle to house our community. So please, Stephen, Suzanne, Rachel, Josh, Caleb, Elliot, Kristen, Jonathan, Corey, Zachary, Broden, and Natalie and Stan Merdinger, please come forward and be thanked. You can come closer, I'm scary, but not that scary. I'll take this off for this. More than 60. Somerset Patriots, but yeah. To all of you, the Talmud teaches us that the whole value of benevolent deed lies in the love that inspires it. We know the love you have for the Jewish people and for our Temple Har Shalom community. So please accept these gifts from all of us. We engaged the fabulous metal artist Joyce Stember to create what are absolutely stunning mezuzot. Open it up back at your seats and take a look. We didn't want to do it here. Please, may these bless your homes, including this one, if you choose to hang one in this beautiful and welcoming stadium. Thank you again for your generosity, for your ability to bring such joy to our community. Thank you. And so to all, I ask that we seek and we find joy together in our Har Shalom community in this upcoming year. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be together as a community. We'll be back in a week for Yom Kippur, so let's play 2. Shana Tova.
As you can see, we tried to create a sanctuary right here on home plate. And we have brought our old original ark together with the Torah that it holds, our first Torah. And so I would ask that we prepare now to hear the precious and treasured stories of the Torah reading for this Rosh Hashanah morning as we all rise together and turn to page 120.
In Kamosh of Elohim Adonai, V'im Ma'asecha, Malchutcha, Malchut Olamim, U'memshaltcha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai libut, Leolam vaed. Adonai oz lakol yitim, Adonai yivarech et ha'am ha'shalom.
On page 121, we prepare for Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you.
Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olalenu V'Tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever V'Herev V'Ra'av Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and famine.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kotsar Umastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression.
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu B'Sefer Hayim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu Male Yadeinu B'Bivrotecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, fill our hands with blessing.
Avinu Malkeinu
Hanenu
Hanenu Hanenu. Ki
Ein
ein
banu
banu ma'asim aset imanu tzedakah v'hesed v'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. Treat us generously and with kindness,
and be our help. Please join us.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Aleinu, Ki imanu masim, Aseinu Tzidaka v'chesed, Aseinu Tzidaka v'chesed, V'yoshienu. Aseinu Tzidaka v'chesed, Aseinu Tzidaka v'chesed, V'yoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Aleinu, Ki imanu masim.
And so we take the Torah from the ark.
Ki mitzion titzei Torah, Ki mitzion titzei Torah, Udifar Adonai Yerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amu Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Norosh Shemo.
You may all be seated. But once again, we have had to learn to adapt to fulfill the mitzvah of chanting and reading Torah in this COVID era. And so I would draw your attention to the big screen, which will announce the aliyot, together with those who have pre-recorded their portions and will stand at their seats for the honor of Torah reading. Just as a reminder, the portion of this Rosh Hashanah day is known as the Akedah. It is one of the most difficult and perplexing portions that are contained in the Torah. It is here where Abraham was asked to sacrifice and take his one beloved son, Isaac, and offer him literally to God. Each and every year there are different messages to be gleaned, but perhaps this year the most important one is that society is general, cannot afford to allow any individual such a sense of religious devotion to take precedence over the welfare of others. And indeed, it is God who stops Abraham's hand. We in our own world need to find within ourselves the means to know that the health and well-being of each other is our most important priority. And so we will read now from the Torah portion known as the Akedah, Genesis 22. If you'd like to follow along, page 124. For our first aliyot, I would ask to please stand all those who serve in the roles of first responders and essential workers who have aided us in these many, many, many months in helping us arrive to this moment in health and safety. First responders and essential workers.
So please join me in the blessing, first responders. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. And for the honor of chanting the first Aliyah, we invite Samantha Shiner, who's over in section 109, Sammy, so please stand.
ויהי אחר הדברים האלה והאלוהים נישא את אברהם ויאמר אליו אברהם ויאמר הנני ויאמר קח נא את בנך את יחידך אשר אהבת את יצחק ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה והלכו שם לעולה על אחד ההרים אשר אומר אליך וישכיב אברהם בבוקר ויחבוש את חמורו ויקח את שני נעריו איתו ואת יצחק בנו ובקע עצי עולם ויקם וילך אל המקום אשר אמר לו.
Together with me, first responders, the blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for our second aliyot, for all those who serve in the medical professions and personnel, please rise now with our deepest gratitude for keeping us healthy.
Please join me. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai Noting HaTorah. And I see two doctors over there in section 107 who are not risen. So please stand up. I see you. Thank you very much. And for the honor of chanting the second Aliyah, we invite Jordan Shiner, who is not in the stadium, but hopefully watching over Zoom or on Facebook, and her mom is shaking her head no. But she recorded it for us anyway, so let's listen to Jordan.
ביום השלישי ויסד אברהם את עיניו וירא את המקום מרחוק ויאמר אברהם אל נעריו שבו לכם פה עם החמר ואני להנער נלכה עד כה ונשתחווה ונשובה עליכם ויקח אברהם את עצי העולה, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
Please join me in the blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notei haTorah.
And for our third Aliyah, it is truly a joy to welcome all of you who are teachers and educators who have had to relearn your professions and deal with the newest of challenges.
Please join me. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notei haTorah. So this is live, and the wind is going this way. And actually, John, can you just put the Torah for me? Amen. Vayom Yitzhak Abraham, Avi vayomer, Avi vayomer, Hineni bevi, vayomer, Hinei ha'esh v'ha'etzim, v'ayei ha'sel olam, vayomer Abraham Elohim, Ye'elu ha'sel לעולם יברחו שניהם יחדיו ויבואו אל המקום אשר אמר לאלוהים ויבן שם אברהם את המזבח ויערוק את העצים ויעמוד יצחק ואת בנו וישם אותו על המזבח Please join me in the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notei haTorah.
Incidentally, an interesting fact of trivia is when Rosh Hashanah and Shabbat fall together, there are 7 aliyot rather than the traditional 4. But we are up to number 4, and for these we would ask anyone who is touched by COVID, those who endured, those who perhaps lost loved ones, those who are struggling, please rise.
Please join me. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorah. Baruch Adonai Hamorah le'olam ha'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamorah le'olam ha'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Notain HaTorah. And for the honor of chanting the fourth Aliyah, we call upon Ryan Shiner. Please stand, Ryan.
Amen. Vayishlach Avraham et yado, vayikach et ha'ma'achelet, lishpot et beno. Vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim, vayomer Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar, va'al ta'aslo me'uma, ki ata yadati, ki yireh Elohim ata, v'lo chasachta, et bincha et yechidcha mimeni. Vayisa Avraham et einav, vayar v'hine ayil achar ne'echaz basvach b'karnav. Vayelech Avraham vayikach et ha'ayil vaya'alehu le'olah tachat b'no. Vayikra Avraham Shem hamakom ha'u Adonai yireh, asher ye'emer hayom behar Adonai ye'ira'eh.
Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And for our fifth Aliyah, a brand new designated group, all those families who had a Zoom Simcha this year. Please rise.
Whoosh, that's a lot. All right, please join me. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorah. Baruch Adonai Hamorah le'olam ha'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamorah le'olam ha'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. And for the honor of chanting the fifth Aliyah, we invite Jasmine Mehta. I don't know where you are, Jasmine. I can't see you. Oh, there she is. Okay. All right. Jordan, go for it.
Vayikra malach Adonai Avraham sheni min hashamayim vayomer nishbati Adonai ma'an asher asita et hadavar aser lo chasavtancha et yechidecha.
Thank you, Jasmine. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
And for our sixth aliyah, please listen carefully. For all those who took on multiple roles for which they were unprepared this year, please rise.
That should be everybody. All of those regular teachers who now have to be virtual teachers. All of those parents who now have to be teachers. Please join me. Baruch Yiret Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Ha'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Ha'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. Ki Rabbi Avraham beharbe arbe et aracha kichovei hashamayim v'kachol asher al sfat hayam vayivash zaracha et shar oivav. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And for our seventh and final aliyah, for all those who are observing Rosh Hashanah for the first time in a ballpark, please rise.
I should be able to hear all of your voices now. Why don't you try it without me? 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Ha'ed. Louder. Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim,
Natan lanu et Torato,
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Yibarchu v'zaracha kol goyei haaretz, eikev asher shamata b'kolim, vayishev Avraham na'arav, vayakumu vayachu Yaakov el be'er shavam, vayishev Avraham mi'ber shava. Together. Baruch atah Adonai
And I would ask that you please remain standing as we are going to dress the Torah. We are on page 128, and that signals what will be soon the start of our grand shofar service. So I'd like to invite all those who have a shofar and would like to blow shofar to make their way to section 109, so you can come down on the field and put yourselves faced properly around the dirt outer ring.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל. כי אדוני ביד משה.
We remain standing as we turn to page 138. And just a reminder for any of those who will be blowing shofar and you'd like to join us tomorrow on our roving shofar bus, please be sure to join us at the temple at 12 noon when the bus will be departing and visiting 3 different parks throughout our area. In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, there shall be a sacred assembly, a cessation from work, a day of commemoration, proclaimed by the sound of the shofar. And so we turn to the shofar blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lishmor kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
And on page 142, the call of the shofar.
Tekiah, Shvarim Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah. Okie dokie. Take a deep breath. Tekiah Gedolah.
Yashikara.
We thank our shofar blowers and invite you to return to your seats. We are on page 155, and it is time for us to return the Torah to be on.
Shalom, Hashiv
And you may all be seated. Are we having fun yet? Natan Sharansky, the most famous former Soviet refugee, who spent 9 years in a Russian prison due to his Jewish and Zionist activities, was recently asked in an interview if it bothers him that not too long ago, he was a world-famous man, meeting with presidents, prime ministers, dignitaries, and celebrities. But now many young people do not even know who he is. He responded, "It does not bother me that people do not know who I am. What bothers me is that people do not know who they are." In truth, there is nothing quite like a pandemic to start thinking deeply about who we are as individuals and a community. As we welcome the new year 5781 with all our hopes and aspirations, it is clear that each and every one of us is struggling to make sense of this crazy world in which we live. COVID-19, racial injustice, politics, rising hate and anti-Semitism, financial uncertainty, and so much more all converge to create a tumultuous landscape that is confusing, unsettling, puzzling, and perplexing. What we all crave is stability, constancy, and strength to endure. So where are we to turn this new year for inspiration and guidance? Well, the answer, I believe, can be gleaned from our most unusual decision and good fortune in gratitude to the Califer family and the Somerset Patriots to commemorate these high holy days in a baseball park. The reason being that, as John mentioned earlier, the history of Jews and baseball is the ultimate story of Jewish assimilation, success, and endurance. Today, we Jews have never been more secure, more accepted, more affluent, and less victimized. But it was not always that way. And to fully appreciate how we Jews made it here, one needs to understand how the sport of baseball became interwoven into the American Jewish experience. In sharing this illustrative story with you today, it is my hope the historical lessons of the past can inform and motivate us into a more confident new year. Today, the United States is gripped in a debate of memory and history. And yet, it is not only our nation that struggles to both preserve and sustain a a balanced, knowledgeable record of our past. So too, do I believe, does our Jewish community now contend with a generation that no longer fully appreciates nor comprehends the multiple positives of Jewish life that ought to make us remain Jews. Like Sharansky, I question whether we are raising our children to know enough about who we are and our Jewish history to make sense of the world today and plan for the future. Thus, it is, in my opinion, time to recapture the era of our baseball heroes of the past and present, who model a pride and confidence in our people and take our faith seriously. And so, if you'll permit me, I now begin my Sermon on the Mount. Just a few years ago, I visited the National Museum of American Jewish History in Philadelphia to attend the opening exhibit, Chasing Dreams, Baseball, and Becoming American. The show explored the thesis, as described by the words of writer John Wertheim, that baseball occupies such a prominent position in the American Jewish psyche because for so many it lubricated the engine of assimilation and represented a means for the marginalized to enter the mainstream. The author was echoing the famous observation that whoever wants to know the heart and mind of America had better learn baseball, the rules and the reality of the game. Or as author Philip Roth wrote, baseball is a kind of secular church that reached into every class and region of the nation and bound millions and millions of us together. In short, it was baseball that was the democratizing force, or as we would call, the American religion. English professor Eric Solomon noted, their families came to this country from Eastern Europe, and they had to find a substitute for what they left behind, the shul and the shtetl. So what they found in Major Baseball was a community, a way of becoming American and yet retaining their identities as Jews. Above all, the greatest explanation of the Jewish love affair with baseball was the presence and the occasional prominence of Jewish players. In truth, every era of baseball has produced a Jewish star who can serve as a role model for our Jewish children. The illustrative list begins in 1860 with Lippman Emanuel Pike, or Lip, who pitched for the Philadelphia Athletics. In the 1920s, it was Mo Solomon, the rabbi of SWAT. And in the 1930s, we had Henry the Horse Damming, and the Detroit Tigers had Hammerin' Hank Greenberg. The list goes on through the decades. Just watch the board. Sid Gordon, Al Rosen, Sandy Koufax, Kevin Youkilis, Ian Kinsler, Ryan Braun, Gabe Kapler, Sean Green, and the newest star on the lineup, Orioles pitcher Dean Kremer, the very first Israeli MLB player. To date, there have been more than 180 Jewish major leaguers. And yet the greatest connection between Jews and baseball has always been strongest at those moments when great players have put their Jewish identity ahead of their performance on the field. Perhaps it is more than coincidence that the only two Jewish players to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame are most famous for the games they sat out rather than for the games they played. It was in 1934, 86 years ago, when pitcher Hank Greenberg became the first Jewish player to attract national attention for his decision to sit out a World Series game on Yom Kippur. At a time when Jews faced rampant anti-Semitism, it was no small act to choose the synagogue over hitting the strikeout zone. Jewish pride swelled, and he actually received a standing ovation when he showed up at Detroit's congregation Shaarei Tzedek that day. Legend has it that it was his mother who demanded his presence. The scenario would repeat 31 years later. In 1965, when Sandy Koufax pulled a Greenberg and sat out the first game of the World Series when it fell on Yom Kippur. It was one of the most important games of his career. But you may be interested to know it was not the first time he made such a choice. In 1959, he skipped his rotation for the first Seder of Pesach. And in 1961 and 63, he did so for Rosh Hashanah. Koufax summed up his thoughts this way: a man is entitled to his beliefs, and I believe I should not work on the Jewish holidays. It's as simple as all that. Jewish major league professionals always face personal decisions to play on the high holy days. In 2001, Dodgers outfielder Sean Green sat out a heated pennant game. And just several days ago, new Oriole Dean Kremer declared to reporters that he would not play on the high holy days because he takes his faith seriously. I hope it is now clear to all of you from these illustrations that when a Jew climbs the heights of success in our society through participation in America's pastime, it not only reinforces our deep-seated desires to be accepted, but it becomes far more satisfying when a Jew does it and holds true to our faith. I know our challenge today is different from the ones faced by our baseball role models. No longer are we struggling for acceptance and equality, nor are we defined by our persecution and victimization. Our influence and accomplishments know no bounds in this American promised land. But regrettably, it is our very success as individuals that contributes to the vulnerability of all of us as a Jewish people. For as we continue to become preoccupied with fitting in and moving up, we remember less about who we are and the foundation of our roots. It is, I believe, one of the great paradoxes of our time that the greater the accessibility of information, the less knowledgeable the Jewish community becomes. The questions we now need to ask are, how can we make our Jewish story relevant to generations that did not experience the Holocaust, know our history of expulsions, inquisitions, and pogroms? How can we recapture a Judaism that is less dependent on our enemies and relies far more on our beauty, wisdom, genius, and depth of our heritage? How can we show our children that Judaism is modern and relevant? And how can we assist our children in reimagining an up-to-date Judaism in the age of COVID-19, when they do not understand what Judaism meant to us before the pandemic? How can we be confident that our children take part in the game of life while at the same time knowing how to sit out and stand up for their Jewish heritage? We are living in a transformative moment. The year ahead is unclear and unsettled. Our storyline is still unfolding, and yet the continuity of this High Holy Day season, together with our 3,500-year-old People's Chronicle, is the game plan we all need to take us into a winning Jewish future. In 1934, Edward Guest, the people's poet, penned a gift to the American Jewish community, honoring Hank Greenberg's steadfast attachment to his faith and his people. In this new year, 5781, I hope his words will resonate with us all. Came Yom Kippur, holy fast day worldwide over to the Jew, and Hank Greenberg to his teaching and his old tradition true, spent the day among his people and didn't come to play. Said Murphy to Mulrooney, "We shall lose the game today. We shall miss him on the infield, and we shall miss him at the bat. But he's true to his religion, and we honor him for that." May each of us find a way in this coming year to be true to our faith, our people, and our community. Amen. In keeping with the spirit of our baseball ancestors, who served as both American and Jewish heroes, I now ask you to partake in another very Jewishly inspired moment, the 7th inning stretch. You may be interested to know that this custom began in 1910 when the President of the United States at the time, President Taft, who was a hefty 6'2" and topped the scales at more than 350 pounds, needed to stretch as he was watching a baseball game. As he stood, so did the crowd out of respect, and a new tradition was born. But they needed a Jewish song to sing. "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," as popular as Happy Birthday and the Star-Spangled Banner, is a Jewish song written in 1908 by Jewish composer Albert von Tilzer. You should know he wrote it before he ever attended a ball game. To sweeten your break and the new year, appropriate treats will now be shared. All are individually wrapped. Some do contain nuts, but all red buckets are nut-free. In addition, there are baseball cards for all our kids to help find them modern day heroes. Please rise and enjoy.
But in order to get what's in the buckets, you have to sing with me. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. For I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Enjoy your goodies as they're being passed out by many who are our volunteers, our HISTE members, and our Club 6, 7, and 8 students. You do have the freedom to open the bags now and enjoy. And we'll give you a few moments to stretch before we come back for the closing innings. We're going to ask you while you're munching away, and in case those of you who are still waiting for the buckets to arrive, there are non-nut honey goodies. And for those who can enjoy a traditional snack, we have bags of Cracker Jacks. And of course, the most appropriate chocolate candy, Babe Ruth's. They will be available as soon as you leave the stadium as well. Well, we're going to continue at the conclusion of our service, page 156, with the Aling.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכול, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא סגרנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ויאמרו יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
I hope you're taking note that this is also historical. Never before had the cantor and I permitted eating and drinking during a service. It may be hard to change our mood, and yet we realize that the memories of all of our loved ones make this occasion sweet and bitter at the same time. For we miss their presence, but remember how each of our loved ones touched our lives and enhanced our days and made every new year a meaningful one. And so on this Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah, we call to mind all those whose memories live on in our hearts and those whose yortzites are commemorated. Samuel Bender, Frida Goldwasser, Jack Mitnick, William Rock, Clara Shire, David B. Strauss Jr., and Samuel Waskover. And we remember one who has been taken from us in most recent days, Mitch Fleischman. Always we remember those of the American Armed Forces and the Israel Defense Forces who have given their lives in defense of our nation, and to all those who have no one left to say Kaddish. I would also be remiss if I did not note the passing on Erev Rosh Hashanah of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Tradition tells us that only the most noble, humble, and gracious of humanity is taken during these holidays. And indeed, she embodied all those adjectives. And so we turn in our prayer books for the Kaddish prayer, page 158. Yitgadal Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah V'Alma Divra Kirutei V'Amith Malchutei V'Hayechonu V'Yamechonu V'Chayei D'Chol Beit Yisrael V'Adalah V'Zman Kari V'Meru Amen Yehei Shmei Rava Mevarach Le'olam Amei Maya Yitbarak Yishtabak Yitpa'ar Yit'aman Yitnaseh Yitadar Yitalev Yitalal Shemei Kudushav Rechu Le'olam Yimkol V'Chata V'Shirata Tushbachata V'Nechamata Damiran V'Alma V'Meru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Mimshoshmaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Meru Amen Oseh Shalom V'Mroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Meru Amen. And we pray that the source of peace will send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us, as we all say, Amen. Would you please be seated for just another moment?
Sorry, logistics about correcting the announcements. I'm actually quite sad to be up here right now because I've been looking forward to this probably more than anybody else because there were so many other people actually on the ground doing this. So I just want to take 1 minute again to thank everybody that's been so involved in making this happen. Thank you. Let's hear it. So thank you all for joining us for this unique and most memorable service. Please remember to take your prayer books with you and bring them back when you join us at the stadium for Yom Kippur. Otherwise, if you don't intend to join us for Yom Kippur, please hold on to them and we'll provide instructions after the High Holy Days for returning them to us. We are happy this year to not rush and leave the sanctuary to make room for those attending the late service. Take your time. Hopefully that's okay, California. Please join us tomorrow morning at the temple in our new rain garden for Tashlich. Tashlich is the symbolic casting of our sins into a body of water. This year it's an open house format, so you can come between 10:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. to participate. Do not bring your own bread this year. We will have everything you need available at the temple. You should park in the lot behind the building and walk up to the garden, which is adjacent to the Mount Horeb Road entrance. Following Tashlich at 12, our extraordinary shofar blowers will board our Temple Har Shalom shofar bus and bring their talents out into the community. They are scheduled to stop at Mountain Park and Basking Ridge at 12:30, at Warren Municipal Park at 1 p.m., and at Movis Field in Watchung at 1:30 p.m. With gorgeous weather predicted, why not bring a picnic and wait for the bus to arrive? We'll be handing out mini shofars for everyone to participate. 1 week from tomorrow evening, our Erev Yom Kippur Kol Nidre service will be conducted from the sanctuary exclusively in a virtual format. The service will begin Sunday night, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. We will return to this beautiful and welcoming venue on Monday, September 28th for Yom Kippur services beginning again 9:30 a.m. When the morning service concludes, We'll break for about 30 minutes and then conduct our Yitzhor service at 12:30 for those who wish to remain. Once again, services from the stadium will be broadcast virtually for those who wish to join us. Beginning 4:30 p.m. on Yom Kippur, we will conduct afternoon service and Nehila in the sanctuary. These services will be available virtually. Family glow stick Havdalah will follow at 6 p.m. and weather permitting, Havdalah will be exclusively outside, again in the rain garden. Many thanks to those who participated in our food drive prior to Rosh Hashanah. We filled the entire front of the sanctuary. Thank you. Please know that your stadium bags also contained an envelope from Hazon, a Jewish response to hunger, if you wish to make a monetary donation. Please drive home safely, and on behalf of our clergy, our board of trustees, and staff, we wish you a sweet and fulfilling Shana Tova. Thank you.
Our service continues with the chanting of Ein Keloheinu, page 225 in your Machzorim. Jordan, please join me. Obviously, it was pre-recorded.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Adonenu, Ein Malkeinu, Ein Moshiachenu, Michaloheinu, Michadonenu, Michamalkeinu, Michamoshiachenu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshiachenu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiachenu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiachenu.
From close or afar, may we wish each other a Shana Tova, a good, sweet, bountiful, and above all, a healthy new year. Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom. There are two ways to exit the stadium today. If you follow the gate by the first base line, that will bring you directly out to the red lot. For those that need a gentler approach, you may leave through the front gate and make your way to the left to the red lot. Again, the main gate and the gate on the first base line are open for exit. Shana Tova.